We could probably call to order and do the minutes. So Kathy, I believe you've been doing the minutes for the planning committee meetings. Will you take the minutes for this one as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so first set of minutes that we have is for the January 5th meeting.
First of all, so Jon,
Yeah.
Eric, and Jillian. January 5th.
So any questions, comments on the January 5th minutes? Otherwise, I would look for a motion to approve.
I so move.
And
Second.
excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, then that takes us up to the January 19th minutes. Any questions or comments regarding those?
Yeah, I wrote those in a hurry. I was sorry, I read them last night and there's a lot of typos, so I've already corrected those. I will send
Okay.
you the corrected copy. I have just one question. It said we will meet with the Friends Executive Board, meet in February. And then two things. I recall someone saying the Friends aren't meeting until April. I don't know if that was part of the meeting or if that came up later, but I think that probably, if it was part of the meeting, I should probably add that to the minutes.
Right. And then I think the discussion is that we would try and before the Friends met
Yes,
next,
right.
that we would meet with their executive board.
So I will correct that we will meet with the executive board before the April meeting, the Friends April meeting.
Yes.
That's sort of our intention. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I will send those amended to you, Eric.
Under 3, I think we decided to get together in a week rather than 2 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, next meeting Wednesday, just January 26th, which is today. So I'm sorry, John, I'm not saying what you're referring.
You see what, under number 3? Get this meeting together.
I didn't number my minutes.
Oh,
Are you looking at January 5th or January?
oh no, the next one. January, what is it? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Okay. So the 26th says we will meet
Yeah,
today.
sorry.
Now, yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay. Okay, so Eric, I'll do this later. Okay, so.
Okay. So we're approving as amended.
Right.
Don, why don't you, if somebody move and then, because I wrote them, I shouldn't.
I move to approve.
Do we have a second?
You're the only other trustee here, Kathy. So the second will have to be you.
So, okay. Of course, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So John, Eric, I've got a question. So this committee, Melissa and Jillian are not voting members. It's just John and me because it's a board committee. Is that how that works?
That's correct.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Thank you.
No, we would have to go through a bit more of a process. The ad hoc committee creation is for straight up board committees.
Yeah, I overlooked that it was an ad hoc committee. Thanks.
Okay, and that takes us into the subject for discussion. Melissa, you had sent out the blurb as far as the pitch to the friends.
I sent a case profile, I think it's called,
Yes,
to all of you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I sent it to everybody's email address, but if you all did not have an opportunity to look at it, glance at it before this meeting, Eric, I sent you that easier to view if you share your screen, if you're interested in doing that.
I can share over. I did have a chance to read them. John, Kathy, would that be useful to you for me to screen share here?
Sure.
Whatever, I've got a copy in front of me. so
It'd
whatever
be
works.
useful to me to be able to see it.
You just got to be sure. Oh, there, I think. No. No. Oh, here we go. Just attempting to get this shared over. Okay. Welcome to Outlook. And it's resisting my attempts to adjust the balance here. Can everybody see the information on the right?
It's pretty small.
Eric, I'm not sure that that's gonna work.
Yeah, I'm tell you what, I am gonna go old fashioned on this. And, oh, Gesundheit, John.
Thank you.
Nope, wrong document. Should be it, shouldn't it? Yeah. Oh. And 10. There. Okay. So there we go. Draft 1 of case statement. Kathy, John, did you have a chance to read through this ahead of time?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I think I essentially, you know, I think it's a good description of where we are and where we want to go. I think my reservation is the control of the spending of the funds, which, you know, raised at the last meeting, but I think that it's just my sense that that's not something that the foundation wants to relinquish, and it's also something that the friends may not want to agree to. So that's
I thought Melissa put together a really good balance of how that might work though with restricted donations and being able to put, money to the Friends and money to a particular project.
Well, if we're okay with them deciding where to spend the money, then, I mean, because that's kind of that's what they do now. I'm not sure how this changes that.
Melissa and I
And
also
I'm
talked.
not-
Go ahead, Melissa.
Oh, go ahead. Go
I
ahead,
was just,
please.
Melissa and I talked earlier today, and we thought maybe it might be good. We could also put together like a potential calendar, like the things that we're looking to accomplish. There are things that you can't actually do before the others. So, I mean, that might help some of that too.
Listen, I'm all in favor of whatever they're going to agree to that we can live with. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to throw up roadblocks.
Okay,
But,
great.
You're not, this is what the entire proposal hinges on, I think, is the control of donations. So I'm trying, and with your help, I am trying to strike the balance between control or maintaining control, I should say, and extra work.
Yeah.
So I want them to feel like they still have power, they still have autonomy, they still have some executive functioning, but at the same time, I don't want to imply that they are going to be responsible for every single dollar that comes into the library. Ideally, we collaborate. So how I would ideally like to see this work is we have a list of 3 designations that I indicated on the doc. For those who haven't looked at it, it's the Friends. So a longtime donor to the Friends could continue to give to the Friends. Youth Services Department and Lake Bluff Library Beautification and Enhancement. Those 3 categories cover, I should say, the last 2 categories could reasonably cover all of the components within the capital campaign. So what would be ideal is if the Friends took care of all of the gifts designated to the Friends, and the steering committee took care of all of the Friends designated to the other 2 categories, youth services and beautification. I don't know if that's agreeable, so I didn't want to suggest that. In last week's meeting, we talked a lot about one overshadowing the other, or making sure that each group was equally represented and one did not take precedence over the other. These are the finite details that are going to make or break us. So I want to use this document as a working document. I want this committee to agree on every single word. We need to decide, though, what does this look like? Are we folding up the foundation? Is the foundation still in operation and just for those 2 designations? How far are we willing to go in terms of flexibility with the Friends?
So the number 1 category there, the Friends, is basically your unrestricted funds, right?
Yeah, right.
Which could be a substantial pot.
Could be the largest.
Yeah.
It probably will be. It very likely will be the most substantial pot in our first outreach efforts or in our first partnering endeavors. But I hope to use the Friends brand and their recognition to drive more attention to the other 2 designations, so people can understand that youth services does have big plans, and maybe that resonates more with them than just an open pot. Maybe they have children, school-age children, and they visit the library a couple of times a week. Maybe for those who are interested in using the library as their, I don't know, newspaper reading spot, or they have big plans to hang out in the Stroh Reading Room, then it might resonate more with them to give to the beautification. I just want to use the Friends, sorry for not putting that delicately, but this is what we're doing. This is how we've come to this decision. I'd like to use the Friends to help put this information in front of a broader group of people and give them a choice, give them an option to weigh in.
Aside from that, one other thing, another thing here. Looking at the intro for the document, I think it might be worthwhile for us to really lay out the necessity of making a change. And the more I've thought about it as well, I think really lay out that the status quo is not sustainable. Basically that we've got to do something. The reason I think being that, you know, looking at what the foundation is going to be doing and looking at what the Friends has been doing, there's just too much overlap there. There's too much confusion building on what's already present. You know, that's not doable. That's not sustainable. So something has to be adapted, be changed here, so that we don't end up with two organizations running, you know, similar sorts of campaigns parallel and confusing people in Lake Bluff.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Eric's got, there's some merit to that. I don't think we've presented a case as to why we would like to do this. I think in the first, in the introduction, we need to be very honest about, first of all, the success of the foundation, the introduction to the community, the needs for improvements in the library, the donations that are leading towards the very welcoming improvements on the first floor. Space studies and designs which show future enhancements and improvements in the library. So speak up to what we've done and what we've accomplished. The problem we've run into is multiple interruptions because of socioeconomic extraordinary events, and the discovery that the name recognition of the Friends seems to be a great contributor, great attraction to contributions in the village. And we think a merger would be beneficial to everyone. But I mean, we need to say, we've tried really hard. Things aren't working well. Why not jump in on your bandwagon? I think we need to be positive, but direct about that.
I'm all for being candid, Kathy, but I don't want to present ourselves in a way that suggests that we're incapable, or that we're going to be dead weight, or we fail.
Yeah, no, I clearly would not want to suggest that, nor do I think we are. But I think we have to explain where we are and why we're there.
Right.
Okay.
And I
really
think we can, yeah. And I think we can definitely do that without, you know, coming down on ourselves. I mean, we know what we're going to do. We know what needs to be done in terms of the foundation and moving forward. And that isn't going to work working with two organizations in parallel. It just isn't.
Okay.
Therefore, something needs to change.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
And we've done all the groundwork, so that's done.
Mhm.
No one else
Yeah.
has to take the time or effort or expense to provide that.
You know, and we appreciate that, you know, we've, you know, worked hard, and we want to continue to ensure that the Friends have a place and a role, you know, as we have done throughout. But, you know, really our first and foremost objective is to get the library where it needs to be. And I think we're all on the same page with that.
maybe there could be a, I agree with all of this. Maybe I'm back to the 3 options. I wonder if it could be subsumed under the 3rd option, or whether it's a separate 4th option dealing with capital improvements beyond the youth services department.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure beautification enhancement would take care of, moving the front desk and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I almost think 2 categories might be better. The front, and by the way, I think probably most people, unless they feel very strongly, they're going to check option 1. So that gives the Friends a real advantage there.
Yeah.
So the Friends concept remains the same, and that's great. The second would be, and I don't know how to phrase it, capital improvements, building improvements, library.
Could we say capital improvements within the building?
Sure.
So
Because
such as new,
that's clearly different than the Friends mission. So you have 2 clear options there. And then it would leave it up to whomever this body is to decide youth services, to decide stained glass windows. I mean, whatever the heck people come up with, but that's building versus what Friends have been doing. And that's a clear image to someone who's going to check, well, okay, the Friends do this, but I think, I think there's some value to improving the building. It's one or the other. And then
yeah,
there's a committee that says, well, this year we should be doing this. And when we get to this amount of money, this is the project then it's.
Yeah.
Um,
And, if the Friends ask, what if we just commit to going forward? I mean, we can always hold out the prospect here. I mean, really, what happened here this fall, I firmly believe was we were working on drumming up support, and then the Friends held out their hand. Well, next year we're fully capable of sending out a campaign letter in October and reversing that formula. It would be stupid, but
yeah, I don't think that would. I disagree with that, Eric. I mean, that makes the library look really, I
exactly,
don't know what.
exactly.
Well,
I think that's his point, Melissa.
Okay.
That's-
I don't
Yeah.
don't want to get to that. If it comes to that point where we don't have an agreement and we've got to try to match the Friends effort by effort, or, supersede them, fold up the tent.
Yeah.
Fold up the tent.
And I do think that there's a balance here as well. We want them to come along, but at the same time, I think we do need to be firm and clear as to that this is necessary, and that they had better have counter suggestions if this isn't where we're going, because right now we're at cross purposes. While they're an independent organization, they've done great work by the library. They are, an organization with one purpose, which is to raise additional funds for the library, and we love them for it. They have done very great, very consistent work for us. But we need them to be, other than continuing down the same track that they've been continuing down for the last 20 years.
So how do
we need to lay some new track,
we
basically.
have to present this in a very positive, proactive. We have to give them great opportunities to expand their tracks. I mean, nothing they have done doesn't work, because they make a lot of money and they make more each year than the year before. So they're doing it well. But we're just inviting them to expand the horizons, expand the focus, and
It's not,
see what they've done.
it's an opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
Melissa, I can't remember earlier on in the document, did you talk about a singular giving pool? I know you you talk about it in general, but that might be a benefit to them for number one,
came- when we spoke on the phone, it came up in our conversation.
Oh, okay.
The possibility is just to run all efforts, into one pot, collect all desired enhancements and equipment and just into one pot. But I don't think in the long run, I don't think that serves our goal of donor engagement. I want a donor to be able to know they have resources that they want to give to the library. And by letting them select what they want to give to, one out of two options, we can segment and target our communications, and kind of rope them into the narrative around that program. Your gift will do this. Your gift has immediate impact, and this is what we're starting with. This is what we're going to accomplish first. So I want people to feel like they have some skin in the game by selecting what resonates with them. But again, that's my preference. But if, in order to keep the conversation going, we have to keep one pot on the table, I'd be willing to do that, with the understanding that this partnership, this merger, will have to evolve. So if it makes, if jumping in at the deep end is not palatable for the Friends, and this is easier water entry, then we can do that. I would want to suggest that we are amenable to that, but it's not the end of it. In order to grow, in order to evolve, we're going to change this up a little bit. And we talked about that last week. We talked about needing for this to be a process. So that's my thought on that.
I think offering the choice, if we're successful with our encouragement to join the Friends, that it could be one fund or two, rather than let them participate in that decision.
Yeah.
We can give them the advantages of two or more. I think for the starters, two is plenty. But and actually that just might give them the comfort zone of not having to change very much by doing their thing. And then through a partnership, then we will burden ourselves with the other part of it. But we don't want to, until we're fully evolved, why confuse the donors with too many different decisions?
Right. There? Absolutely. Good point.
I was just thinking that you've got 1 and 2 there, and I was just thinking if 2 was just the capital campaign, and then you express what those things are for that time period. Initially, that you wouldn't need more than.
Yeah, initially that was my thought. That was my thinking, that we
Keep
would
it
have
simple.
a few.
Yeah.
So essentially, we need to insist upon change, but also suggest that the Friends don't have to change.
Right. That may be a welcome alternative to them.
Yeah, I agree.
So
we just want to be roommates.
We just want to.
We don't want to buy the house. We want to be roommates.
Yeah.
So I have a question, if I can ask it now, or I'm going to ask it and you directed elsewhere, Melissa, if it's not the right time.
Okay.
I didn't, and I've read this twice, but I'm thinking about a lot of stuff. I don't really see any people, let's say, involved except the Friends and Jillian and Melissa.
I didn't want to.
If there's something in here on the steering committee, I missed it. But it looks to me like when all is said and done, there'll be the Friends, and then you two will be involved. It doesn't suggest to me that there is a foundation, and it doesn't. I don't see where any decision making is coming up.
So Thanks for bringing this up. This is the appropriate time, I think. I'm interested in everyone's feedback. What happens to the foundation? What is the role of the foundation? Are we going to suggest to the Friends that there will be joint decision-making? Are we going to suggest that the Friends have their pot, the foundation has their pot, and decision-making will go separately? Planning, are we suggesting that we're going to collaborate, or Jillian and I will present a marketing calendar for the board to approve, the trustees to approve? I don't know. I didn't want to get too far into the weeds. So if you see at the bottom of the document, I have examples to come. I thought that if we could just agree on this basic premise, and there are some things that we need, based on the discussion we've had so far, there are some things that need to be amended. But base and more rationale added to this document. Once we get this clarified, and we as a steering committee can provide a united front, then I would like to move on to the details. And that's all the minutia or top line minutia. So what does day-to-day look like? When it comes time for a Friends board meeting, what's that going to look like? When we meet as a steering committee, what does that look like? When we meet as when the Board of Trustees meets, what's that going to look like? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how the foundation will function moving forward. I'm not sure what the specific role of the steering committee will be moving forward. That's something I would prefer to decide as a group.
As a group, including the
Yeah,
Friends. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't hear your last
Oh, I'm
part of your
sorry. When you
sentence.
say as a group, are you
That's
talking
okay.
about the group that I'm involved in right now, or the group being the Friends and whoever is representing the foundation?
I'm talking about the group that we're in right now, specifically
okay.
the steering committee.
Okay,
I want to present the vision to the Friends. If they don't like it, but they see potential, we go back to the table and noodle with possibilities. In what format would they be most comfortable to begin? The steering committee stays out of their monthly meetings, their monthly board meetings, but we collaborate via Zoom one time a year. How is that going to work? How would they be most comfortable?
okay. And I'm not trying to get picky here, but for these notes, for purposes of clarification, is it safe to say that this ad hoc committee is the steering committee, is also known as the steering committee for the time being?
Oh, I don't know. I thought we were officially the steering committee.
Well, we
the
are, but we're also
foundation.
officially a board committee. So I just want to know, well,
Oh,
is it safe to say AKA the steering committee? So that's,
I think so, yes.
Okay,
That is the function that this committee is serving at this time.
okay. So from now on, the steering committee, good.
I think however we set things up for integration with the Friends, that we need to have it set up so that the foundation has the ability to drive forward the and make decisions on events and campaign and things like that. You know, I'm not sure about the Friends' interest or ability to drive things forward with anywhere near the same level of speed or urgency or those are probably the right words that I'm looking for.
well, don't think that we're going to go into hyperspeed if we collaborate, please. There's still one person at 15 hours a week on the job. So I'd love to evolve into a situation where the Friends trust us. Trust, and
Jillian, is that you or Janie?
It's
Is that you, John?
me.
It's
Yeah.
John.
Sorry, sorry, I lost the video.
Okay.
John, you just need to mute one of the devices.
That's what I'm doing.
I put the not John into the waiting room for the moment.
okay. So to finish the sentence, ideally, what I'd like to do, how I see this working is we are collaborating to the extent of their comfort at the beginning in this first year. As part of the process, I certainly hope and trust that we will evolve to a more trusting relationship where the friends allow us to manage the campaign, take care of the details, and they come together every month or however they come together, and with a status report. This is what's currently circulating out there. This is how many donations we received in the last month. This is what's upcoming. This special event is scheduled for this time. And then they have the opportunity to do any voting. They can do some discussions. They can raise concerns. And it comes back to us and we noodle it until we figure out how each other works best. But I'm hoping that we still come into a place where the original foundation players are autonomous and working at their preferred speed, taking on more of the load to keep things moving consistently. Did any of that make sense? Is anyone still with me? Am I talking to myself?
No, I'm with you, Melissa. I think that it sounds like we're taking the friends away from the friends. So, so let me just finish my thought. So
Okay.
what you just said would be fine if we designated, again, part of that pot. Leave the friends they've got to be in control of something because they manage a good organization. So let them designate, bucket number one, and let them do with it as they've done successfully over the years. And then hopefully bucket in the number two is going to be lucrative enough for this model to perpetuate. And I have to just give the savior of bad news here. If this goes on for a year or so in terms of merging, the foundation does not have, without any donations to the foundation cannot financially sustain itself.
That's a good point.
So I don't know how to solve that problem. Eric and I are going to talk about that tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Kathy, do you think there's any merit to furloughing the foundation until we're ready for that 4 million project?
That may be a long furlough. I don't know.
And to furlough the foundation, we would have to identify exactly where the reimbursement funds for the development coordinator position would be coming from.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that. I'm getting well off your agenda and I apologize, but what I would like to see in the short term is sitting down. If we could get a, gee, that sounds like a good idea from the friends, let's talk about it, knowing that it's going to take a while to come up with an organization. If we could at least have Ava acknowledge contributions in 21 to the friends that likely had been encouraged by your efforts, and direct those dollars to the foundation, basically for our operating expenses. We don't have to at this point embark on any building project, but that would allow us to pay our bills. At the same time, it would allow them to observe how we operate, which is really pretty successful. Because they're going to want to know, and I have a question here about Jillian's participation and Melissa's. You two would be participating as library employees. Right now, Melissa's salary is reimbursed by the foundation. Would Jillian's participation in the steering committee be as a library employee under her salary, which would be fine? Or is there some other arrangement that has to get set up, which, I mean, I think the more we layer this, the more uncomfortable the Friends will be at having to pay other people's bills. So that's something that we just have to.
We're gonna have to plan for, because if we don't have that determined and they ask the question,
Yeah,
that's gonna put a lot of skepticism on the table. So I don't know about the salary. I don't have anything to contribute to that particular conversation. But your point is well taken, and I'm glad you brought it up.
I mean,
I don't know.
without any income to the foundation, let's say for a year of transition, that this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
I would
And-
love to get back from the Friends.
Yeah.
I would like to get that back to the foundation.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine a scenario in which they would be prepared to relinquish it. I thought it was lost.
Well, it's just something.
We'll see. We could always
Okay.
frame it as a contribution to foundation operations, if they would be more agreeable to framing it that way. First and foremost, we've got to get the list. We've got to get that list from Eva, so that we know who's on it, because that will tell us who has contributed what, and we'll be able to identify exactly who and how much we're looking at in terms of what went where.
Mhm.
Kathy, I think you're right in terms of where our short-term goals should be, that we've got to divide and a disconnect here, that we need to get those records from the Friends as a first step, and then we probably should have that discussion as far as funds that they had received that we know to have been intended for the foundation.
How would we know that if there's still two separate databases?
Well, we would have the list of names and donations from Eva, and it sounds like we are pretty confident that there's a few names of folks on there that Melissa has talked to, including some individuals who have specifically told her that they gave.
Yeah.
And
So
the check never arrived to the foundation.
So we would get the
Sounds like
whole
it went to the
list.
Friends.
You're saying we'd get the whole list and then peruse that.
Yes.
Okay.
Peruse that, and preferably put that into our database as well. I got a call, by the way, just the other day, for somebody from Salesforce that wanted to talk to us but was looking for the Friends. Is Salesforce something that somebody could potentially use for tracking donations?
What is Salesforce?
I think so. It's just another little green light type of thing, I think.
Oh, okay.
Then that's
So
probably what
it's
they're using, because they've got a bunch of licenses active with that.
Yeah, it's just another software program, I think.
I recall.
As green light
Pardon?
is Salesforce as robust and flexible as little green light?
I have no idea. Yeah.
That's nuts. That's nuts. The library has two donor databases. We're
Well,
paying
no,
two separate.
No,
No, the
Well,
Friends
Friends.
might have one, and the
Yeah.
foundation does have one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Sure,
here you are, John. Salesforce CRM software,
Okay. So
nonprofit cloud.
okay, there you go.
Okay,
So the Friends
this
have
is
their own. The Friends have their own database. So sorry.
okay. So I think it's important, if we are going to move forward together with any intention or hope for success, we have to merge databases. I am certain the Friends have current contact information for people. Little Green Light is not current. It also, we don't have any kind of donor profiles other than the start of profiles for those that gave this fall. But otherwise, Little Green Light is not useful.
Yeah.
Where are
So-
you gonna update information in both of them? Or, you know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't think that Friends,
I don't think-
I heard Eileen refer to, we had a great year. I think she said we had 170 donations. It's not, they have a list.
Yeah.
Whether it's written on a legal pad or it's on a,
Yeah.
you know, an Excel spread, or they're paying for a database. It's a very small group of people. So, and I would say, I'm gonna guess 80% of those donors have been regular Friends donors, or maybe 70%. And then
Yeah.
they get a few new ones. And maybe this year there's just this jump. And clearly we can
Yeah.
identify the purpose of the jump. And we kind of
Right.
claim those. But I don't
So-
think,
But you opportunity of knowing who those consistent donors are
Mhm.
and moving them up. You know what I mean? So if you've got somebody who's been giving $50 for 10 years to the library, it's time to start talking to them about a $200 gift.
yeah, I know where you're
No,
coming from,
we're-
but I just don't think that, I don't think asking for the list from the Friends is a big deal. And whatever it's listed on, it would
Mhm.
not be, I think this group that I'm looking at could sit down and in an hour identify, we already know about these people, let's add these, and we could just decide what to do. So it's
But-
not like it's 15,000 names.
But
Yeah.
if they don't have their own software, then that could be a real selling point for,
Sure.
we've got the software that allows you to navigate. process.
And I think that's a really good cost saving and efficiency pitch, all on its own. Even setting aside the issues of we're duplicating work and we're working at cross purposes and this is nuts. I think you can make a really good case that's like, well, we've got two fundraising organizations with two separate databases. That's not efficient. We should have one
No.
database for both organizations. It's information
Mhm.
that's relevant to everybody. And
Mhm.
then it saves money because neither database is free.
Mhm.
You know, it's got to be paid for. So that's a savings, and it goes, money saved by either organization is money saved for the library, because it'll go then to support something that the library needs rather than, paying for an extra database that we don't need. So I think that's a good pitch. That's a money saver. It's an efficiency saver.
I'm not sure, what I'm hearing is they might not even have a database, they got a list. I mean,
We just don't
Thank
know.
you.
we-
A list different than a database.
right,
Our is not just names, addresses, email, and phone. It's giving history. It's where you can list notes about,
contacts,
yes,
yeah,
and it separates all family members. So you know this person that's been giving $25 for 10 years has grade school children. This allows our targeted approach. It can, if we build it up properly, be very useful, be the driving force.
So
So
this
they-
is, sorry, go ahead, Eric.
So in terms of thinking of it in terms of the fundraising perspective, it would probably be what you would consider to be a list. I had gotten from Eva, when we were doing our initial donor screening and the feasibility study, a list from Eva at that time. And it was pretty basic. It was just names with addresses. And really that's all that they that they need is they don't even, that I'm aware of, do anything with phone numbers or email addresses
Okay.
because they don't need them.
So what
They don't use them.
I need to cross-reference their addresses with the addresses that are in Little
Yes.
Light. They
Whether
likely
it's-
have more
Mhm.
current information.
Yeah.
I
I'm-
also need to get their lists for the
Mhm.
past 5 years and enter the giving history
Mhm.
so we can
Yeah.
see who's giving regularly,
Yes.
who's a first time. This is
Yes.
stuff that we would use.
Mhm.
I feel like the database, although we talk about all the nuanced stuff with the designations and just the very reason we're asking for this, but if we can't get them to agree on this database component, the other stuff doesn't matter.
Here, here.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
So, okay. I think one clear-cut item that we take a look at to start with is suggesting that we have this one database. They had, they definitely have an active Salesforce subscription with a bunch of licenses because the Salesforce folks called here just within the last week, looking for the Friends of the Library and confusing the Friends with the library itself.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they're paying them. Like they could have had it at one point. That doesn't necessarily mean that they currently.
They're just pitching a sale.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is all mentioned in her letter. Little Green Line is a selling point listed. I'd like us to maybe focus on if there's anything else that she needs to have included in that letter for us to set up a meeting with them.
Well, Jillian, I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry, but
No, I'm done.
just on the same topic, and then I will be done, Melissa. I think we're overdoing the whole database discussion. It's not going to be important to the Friends. I don't know why they would object to our pursuing it if they see it. I think as a partnership, they would see it as value, and they would be very happy that somebody else was doing it for them. So I don't see any reason
Okay,
that is
good.
that's not a make or break for this. If
Okay.
they have some record keeping device, whether it's somebody's address book or some complicated system, it doesn't have that much information. It would have, Mrs. Jones gave $10 for 20 years in a row, whatever, but it just doesn't have that much. It's not going to go into detail. It would be, I can
That's
understand
okay.
where with you taking it and applying it to the data, but I don't think we need to spend anywhere near the discussion we've had today with the Friends because we could lose them on
Okay.
that topic.
Yeah.
All right.
They don't see the value. I get it, but they don't care. But they've done, I guess I could hear Missy Romanoff saying, well, we do just fine without that. And a lot of people might follow her lead and say, yeah, so forget it.
Mhm.
So I don't think we should.
So then maybe it's more, I'm sorry.
I mean, I just don't think we should be persuasive with new information that's appealing and exciting and makes things better. Using tools that you guys know to be essential to an organization who doesn't care about them is not going to be persuasive. And we need to be persuasive.
I think what will be though
disagree.
is the fact that Melissa and I are going to be doing this. Like, I think that is going to be a selling point. The fact that we're doing the work, and I think that the Little Green Light is a huge asset. And I think if we put it like you've all talked about and how beneficial it'll be, could help that point, but it might go over their heads too.
Right.
Yes. The cardinal rule for pitching things on the Friends, generally, if you have someone lined up to do the work, most no's will turn into a yes.
Oh,
That was
Oh.
pretty much, that was almost precisely what happened with the BRIC program. I was virtually certain that they were going to turn that opportunity down. But then Mary said, this seems pretty easy. I volunteer to lead it. And lo and
Best wishes,
behold, within
Mary.
the next 5 minutes, the folks that had been hemming and hawing were like, yeah, let's just do it. Because it's money and I don't have to work on it. So,
But the only
so
twist is
Melissa and
that-
Jillian will make a big difference, having the two of them jumping in and doing the work. Kathy, real quick, and then I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, just saying, the only twist is we have to somehow get into the discussion that they're gonna be paying Melissa's salary. That's, you know,
Right.
which is perfectly doable when we have contributions coming in the door. Totally doable.
I have that on my list here as a topic we need to get to.
Great,
So,
great.
but real quick for the first meeting, I think our best plan here would be to frame the problem, and then start with offering some of these particular points that are pretty straightforward and manageable. You know, we've got people managing a database. Let's have everybody use this one database. You know, we want to meet with you guys regularly. We need to make some joint decisions as far as fundraising, because right now we're at cross purposes. This can't keep going on. My experience generally with the Friends and with Eileen has been that the more consequential the decision, the longer generally Eileen will provide for the Friends to talk about it. She is always very keen to make sure that everybody has full opportunity to weigh in and share their thoughts, which I think in general does her a lot of credit as the leader of that organization and stands her in good stead with her membership. But it also means that they aren't going to move quick in terms of an organizational decision like this, where it's about the very makeup of the group. So I think Melissa, I think it was you that said that, you know, thinking in terms of like getting things moving and then gradually continuing to make, and I think that's a good way to think of it. You know, and we start with some easy opportunities and frame the problem, keep talking to them about the problem. And I think, to me, that's probably where our best bet in terms of framing and starting this would be.
Okay, the issue I have is problem semantics. I don't like the word problem. They don't have a problem. It's our problem. They're hitting it out of the park with a growing business. So I don't necessarily believe they're going to internalize the problem. They don't have a problem. I'd like to call it an opportunity.
Absolutely.
This is an opportunity for growth.
No, you're
I
absolutely
don't
right.
like problems.
Absolutely right.
Suggesting that we have a problem will immediately put them on guard.
Right.
I defer to your thoughts while going on the record as feeling personally like that's 180.
Interesting. Well,
I think in general, they're not looking for the opportunity. They're not looking at themselves as a growing business and seeking new opportunities.
well, that's
whereas on the
that's
it is.
unfortunate.
It is.
The problem is they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah,
that's the
That's
problem. They don't understand the business.
Yeah,
they don't do the blocking and tackling that most organizations do, because they just have never done it. So they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
That's the problem.
And
yeah. So that translates into lost opportunity for growth.
Yeah, but you know, for for instance, like the big foundation event in the fall of 2019 is a good example. That was a wonderful, wonderfully put together trivia event fundraiser. That was originally something that fell into the foundation's lap because the Friends turned it down. Because it was too much. It was more than they wanted to do. And
Aren't the Friends, one of their goals, one of their duties, something that's in their mission statement is to sponsor special events?
I like to write the checks.
I mean, with this,
They've also sponsored the miniature golf. They have sponsored, paid for.
Yeah.
And I will say, right there beside me all evening at trivia was Eileen.
Yeah.
Now, she was the only one representing the Friends, but she was there at
Oh.
the planning. She is there at every event that involves the Friends. And that, especially speaking to Eileen and her executive committee, could be very different than the experience we've had in speaking to 6 lovely ladies who are very like-minded. So yeah, I can't, you know, Eileen is, she's a great, you know, conciliatory person, and she does make sure she gets the facts and goes back to the Friends, but she represents that group. But if the group is changing and becoming a little more forward thinking, and we present opportunities their way to a smaller group that has, Eileen might, you know, at some point in time, you may have 2 opposing entities within the Friends, and one of them is going to go one direction and they're going to follow. So I think if we're persuasive and offer opportunities and we're positive and we shoulder the burden, I don't know. And all we want to, every single solitary person wants to raise money for the library. That's what it's all about. I mean,
that's right.
Don't get in the weeds with databases and this and that. It's all about, you've done this so well. We anticipate that we will see far greater proceeds, and we can have not only the traditional Friends benefits to the library, but we can have more. We can have more growth. We just have to push that. It's a no-brainer, really, when you think about it.
I think common sense too, and I like your perspective. And while these discussions about what's happened in the past and reactions in the past and decisions in the past are useful so that we can prepare, I don't want to dwell there. We know something has to change. So I want to push forward. I don't want to talk about what happened in the past anymore. I want to talk about how we're going to get this across to the Friends and start getting this back on track.
Well, I think presenting to Eileen with an opportunity for her to have a support group within the Friends is key. So she can, you know, because I think we would have her support, but she represents a group and she's true to the group. But if, you know, 3 or 4 of them are saying, let's try it.
So who's at the meeting?
We said the executive committee, so the secretary, the treasurer, Eileen, and then they have a 4th person, a 4th role. Was it a vice president?
What does Lindsay Bornholt do?
She's the vice president.
So Lindsay, Claire, who is the secretary,
Ava,
the treasurer, and Eileen, the president.
Yes.
Eileen is the president, Lindsay's the vice president, Claire's the secretary, and Eva's the treasurer.
Yeah.
That group was chosen in October. So that's a recent executive board.
Okay.
Good.
Melissa,
Yes.
what else do you need for your letter?
So next steps, I am going to incorporate the ideas and requested amendments into the second draft. Additionally, I'm going to add on some of those specifics we talked about. What will Melissa be doing and who will be paying for it? What will Jillian be doing and who will be paying her? What does day-to-day look like? How does how is information managed? How is outreach managed? What are some examples of outreach? I just want to put a couple of scenarios down on paper so that moving forward isn't the day-to-day, the rote activities are not abstract. They can refer to an idea on paper. And then we can begin the conversation of, we're not right. We don't want to do that. We don't want to put the friend's name on that. Okay, we'll take that off the list. Or I would rather this went this way. Okay. You know, I think that's going to be a little bit of a negotiation, but like you suggested, Kathy, I will keep it simple. I'm just going to give a couple of examples. Does that sound good?
Yes.
So I send you a second draft. I would like by next week to have the argument approved by the steering committee. Because by then we'll be in February. And we will need to schedule a meeting with the executive board of the Friends before their first whole group meeting in April.
And Melissa, I would like that to happen before March 30th.
The meeting.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to schedule it as soon as our steering committee business is wrapped up on
Okay.
this proposal. I mean, as soon as we all are in agreement, united, we're pleased with the document that's going to be put in front of them, and we think it's an accurate reflection of what we're trying to say to them and what we hope to do, I would like to then call and schedule the meeting.
Okay, that can be for me, that can be any time in February. If it's March,
Okay.
I just need to be planning because we'll be away and we will be having house guests off and on. So I know my schedule and I can plan ahead, but I can't just at the last minute do this. So it can easily.
Yeah,
be
me
planned.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
So that's what I'm.
I'm sorry, just one more also, I promise. Eric and I are getting together tomorrow to talk about the foundation budget. Then we're going to work quickly with bring Cal in by Zoom because we are the board. I see expenses in our proposal here with the Friends to have to do with salary and marketing expenses. That's what Eric and I will talk about tomorrow. I don't see huge problems, but we just need to know what we have and what we can spend and what the library can spend and just iron it all out. So I'll ask Eric to follow up with you after he and I meet tomorrow. I don't see Cal having any big disagreements with what Eric and I recommend. So, but I'll let him keep you posted.
Thank you. May I ask you, are you going to talk about the extra cost of the Stroh Reading Room rendering?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Well, I would like to, Eric. John, we had a board meeting this week. Oh, I'm sorry, John, you weren't, the finance meeting met. And so we're beginning the budget process to present to the board in February. And there's a marketing line, which is new. So we just have to agree so that we can present to the finance committee, which can present to the board what this marketing will involve. So we're a day or two ahead of answering your question, Melissa. Okay.
Oh, sorry. What was that a question?
No, I said I can't answer your question right now, but we will be able to shortly. I did actually just send an email out requesting the cost of the rendering. So
thank you. Thank you. Because remember, the initial idea was to tout the Friends, was to say, look what the Friends are adding to this project. Look how Friends are.
Kathy, just to keep in mind, I don't think the foundation was in consideration when the amount was requested for that marketing budget line.
I know.
Okay.
But it's like, you know, libraries spending money, so I'll have to know where it goes and what it's for.
I think you had asked Sean as well for an estimate as far as exactly what that would cost,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Based off of previous expenses, it's not going to be insignificant, but it's not going to be massive either.
Right, right.
I mean, it'll be to provide the most basic framing possible, it'll be under 1,000.
Yeah. And actually, Melissa, I kind of thought, going back to when Cal and I walked by that empty room and said, gee, we ought to put a coming soon sign. I think it was more just, yeah, I think it was more to just say, we're excited this is happening. We were hoping spring of 22. I don't, at that point, actually, the Friends were not involved in the, so it could easily say, a partnership of a, I mean, it could actually speak to a partnership that doesn't exist yet, but the purpose is just to have people walk in the library and say, oh, good, they're doing something. They're going to have a, you know, they're improving this.
That's the primary reason. You're right.
Yeah.
You know, the Friends are donating money along with the foundation and Cal Stroh's donation to that room. So we could definitely put on there, there was partnership between the foundation and the Friends.
Good idea.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea.
So I trust Melissa, your framing on this. For my purposes, whether they are squeamish about merging or they are all in, I just want us first and foremost to work together. And if we can at least get them to the point where they are collaborating with us and we are coordinating our efforts, then that's going to be a good step in the right direction. But you know, what we had this fall where they sent out the letter, got some donations that were pretty clearly folks that you had talked to. And this was after you had a lengthy conversation, several lengthy conversations with them about mentioning the foundation and the distinction in their letter. And they very purposefully did not do that. They went out of their way to not do that. Because we caught them at a number of points where we were told that it was already out and found then that it wasn't. I think that happened maybe twice. And then we followed up again. So that was a very conscious decision. We can't do that again. We need to be working together for the library. That's, you know, my feeling on it is just let's, I want to see him go for the merger. I want to see him, you know, working with us here as close as possible. But, you know, if they don't go for the merger, I just want to see them working with us because, you know, like the exchange that we had this fall with, and then where we're at, where it's led to, you know, that's not great. Anyway, the other item that I wanted to mention, Melissa, you don't necessarily need to include it, I think, in the letter, but it's one that we should probably think about and plan for an answer for, which is how the different accounts are going to play out. So right now, the library, the foundation has a bank account, and the Friends have a bank account. If you were uncharitably minded with the Friends, you could maybe look at suggestions of a merger and say, well, the foundation clearly just needs money and you want the Friends money.
Yeah,
And, you know, that's not where we're going with this. You know, I don't think it's something that we've talked about as an aspect of this once. And this will be posted on the website, so there we go. But it's a question that we should be prepared to answer. There are a
I'm
few
glad-
ladies. There are a few ladies there that can be a bit sharp with their questions. So I would not be stunned to see that come up. And certainly the issue of, we raised this $40,000, I think they've got about right now. You know, are we going to lose control of it? You know,
I
what's
think
going
we
to happen
make
with that?
sense. Yeah. I
So-
want to disrupt the apple a little bit. I just don't want it to be a jarring experience.
Yes.
So I don't suggest that we're going to have our hand in their pot.
Yeah.
In their dip at a chip. I think for these initial discussions, for the initial stages of collaborating, we maintain 2 separate accounts.
That was kind of what I had envisioned as well to start. You know, I ideally, I think long-term, it's one where if the partnership works, they'll probably want to streamline that. But yeah.
I hope so. That's
Um,
what I'm thinking.
and I'm with you in the formula. Try not to be initially disruptive, but you know, get the working together and offer to do the work in doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would say if there's a pecking order on that list of 1 or 2, the Friends being a choice and the campaign being a choice, I would try to get a first ranking on that, just for the convenience of people checking the first box.
Yeah, and I'm still kicking that over in my head. My understanding of the old sales principle is that you don't try to give people choices between the things that you want them to do. You know, so rather than yes, no, do you want to donate to the foundation? Do you want to write a check for 500 or 1,000? But I don't know. It's all going to the library, so
I'd gotten
I'm
the
not
impression,
too stressing about it.
I'd gotten the impression that was intentional though, that the Friends were going first on that list.
Well, that was Melissa's template, yeah.
Mhm.
And it
That
probably
might be a
was.
sticking point is
Oh, I
where
know.
my brain's going to.
A lot of sticking points, unfortunately.
There's an easy way to streamline some of this on the website too, as far as giving is concerned.
Yes.
Eliminate all donation on individual pages to one solitary donation page.
Yes. Because right now I believe we've got a gifts portal for the still up for the library, and then we've got the foundation and friends pages. So
Yeah,
it's 3.
exactly. It's bad.
Do you have any idea how many donations are made through the website for the Friends?
I don't have access to that information. Martha is the webmaster. I'm sure that it's possible those statistics
Mhm.
live out in the world.
Be curious to know.
I think they get a lot of paper donations, so is my assumption.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all that
So
campaign.
I did ask Martha today to start work on a construction project page for the website, where we can post information and updates about the project. Well, some of that will of course be informational for people as far as what we're doing. It'll also serve as a very purposefully as a shining beacon of look what we did. And isn't it amazing?
Are you talking about the Stroh room?
Yep. Generally in the past, when we've done any sort of project, we've given it at least a corner of a web page so that we can chronicle for the public what's going on. And
It's just good publicity.
usually use that for messaging too, as far as the message around the construction and what's happening.
It's a little bit of a brown paper on the windows. People are usually pretty interested in how things are progressing on a weekly basis.
Yep.
Well, I don't know, Jillian, if Eric and Melissa said, we're disappointed that the process is going to take a lot longer than we'd anticipated. We're already, there's delays before we even get busy, so it's unfortunate, but it will come. I mean, it's going to happen.
If there's anything I can do to help with that, let me know.
Right now, it's all in the hands of our building people, so hopefully it'll go smoothly, and
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, it is something at least that's readily explainable, that, you know, we can honestly tell people, like, supply chain is a nightmare, and our entire design team had COVID was down with COVID from like middle of December to middle of January. I don't think anybody's going to have too much question on that. It is less than ideal. I had really hoped that we would have it done before the summer, but you know, less than ideal could be the that could be the year name for 2021. So I think we might have talked around everything that we were hoping to talk around, and at this point, it's just a matter of Melissa doing the next draft.
I think that's where we stand.
So are
Okay.
we planning to meet next Wednesday?
I think so.
I believe it's February.
Yeah, we're
2nd.
on a,
We're reading weekly, aren't we?
So February 22nd, 2 p.m.
Weekly meetings, weekly reports. Let's keep it moving.
we're getting closer.
Making progress.
Yeah, we're moving. All right.
Okay,
Do we want at one of these meetings here to have Jillian maybe share some ideas as far as possible events that we could take a look at?
That would be a lot easier if I understand if it's for the foundation or for the Friends.
Well, you know, I'd like to know ideas. I'd like to know what you have in mind.
I mean, I can give you plenty of ideas that I can talk to you about pretty much in like 5 minutes here. But the complicated part of it is that Anna is intending on asking the Friends about an event at the library this coming year. So I just don't know how that's going to function with the foundation. So,
well, let's start with Anna's plan and see
That's
if
the
we,
mini golf.
yep.
Okay.
But it's structured in a way that isn't a fundraising event.
So that's
And
just- well, then that's a typical Friends endeavor.
oh, I see.
So I don't know how that lines up with everything and how this is all going to continually change. So that would be where I would jump off, Melissa, because it's a great event. And yeah, the intent initially back in 2019 was Trivia Fundraiser was going to be an every other year event. Pandemic happened, but the plan was to do it every other with mini golf. So mini golf and trivia would not land in the same year.
Right.
Got it.
So you're considering mini golf again?
It's been 3 years.
Yeah.
So it was 2018.
It was a great evening, and I would love to see that happen. I
So-
would love to see that happen. I think that even has potential as a fundraiser. Doesn't mean it has to be that way, but I think there's a lot.
I fully agree. I think it was always when I was hired that week, Kathy. So that's part of the thing is, yes, I'd love to see that turn into a fundraising opportunity.
Okay.
so she hasn't approached them about it. The intent is to approach them in April because planning needs to happen.
Okay.
So the timing of it has to work out pretty well for
Without
the
knowing any
situation.
further, just off the top of my head, I would say it's business as usual. And if the library has functions that are going to happen in April, May, June, or July, they're only going to happen if you go through the process. And I would say continue with the process. And then at some point in time, if decisions are made. It won't upend anything that's happening. But I don't know, Eric, my opinion, I wouldn't want to hold back on something that you're ready to proceed with.
I wouldn't necessarily suggest that we'd hold back on mini golf. I think that's going forward one way or the other. The question would then be, how many events in the year are we looking to add, and the timing of that and where that would land. 127 is happening on September 24th of this year. So that is another big event. So it would need to be a little bit further. It can't come after it because of mini golf. So anything that would happen would need to come before it, and summer programming needs to be decided by middle of April.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea. So I can talk about like summer programming at the next one, you know, what you guys are thinking, but I just wanted to give you that heads up that could make a big change depending on how things go forward.
Jillian, why don't you and I discuss here and maybe work on the framing a little bit. And then I hadn't intended for us to get into discussing this meeting.
It's a little
just kind of
early.
Looking forward to future meetings
Sounds good.
where we wouldn't be covering, you know, all of the very necessary conversation that we've had
Yep.
here as far as this very important letter we're sending to the Friends.
It's essential. Yeah.
Yeah, and the events are going to be, planning is going to be really important too, and we want to be sure we give that the time that it deserves.
Sure. I've mentioned to Melissa, it's the sparklers of things. It's we need the fun. It's the sparklers, you know, it's the fun. It's got to come last. So yeah.
Okay, on that note, I will and truly think that we've reached the end of everything that we need to discuss here. Melissa, you've got everything you need, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I know we kind of talked your ear off, so my apologies on that. I'm cardinal offender.
It's time well spent. There's a lot of stuff we got to work out. If this is going to work, we've got to be a united front.
Indeed. Okay, so I would, if we are in agreement that we've reached the end, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We are in adjourned.
Thank you.
Adjournment.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Stay warm.
You
Yeah.
too.